welcome back to another episode of the Shawn Johnson Show. Today I want to talk about burnout, specifically what burnout is, or maybe I should say what burnout has taught me. What are the consequences of failing to put things in place to avoid burnout, and how can you begin crawling out of the burnout hole? So burnout occurs when you are continuously exposed to a stressor. So I want to distinguish between burnout and depression, because depression can be triggered by a stressor, but not necessarily. And when you remove that stressor, depression remains, unlike burnout. When you remove the stressor, you experience relief. You might find yourself having sleepless nights. You might find that you're doing a lot or feel like you're doing a lot of work and really getting nowhere with anything that you're working on. You may experience fatigue. You might feel detached. Again, separating out depression from burnout. Depression has the element where you no longer experience pleasure. So you might go on a vacation to the most beautiful place in the world, and you still can't find any joy or fulfillment with that. Versus if I were to remove you from your burned out life and intervened by putting you on a paradise island, you would experience some relief. So when it comes to burnout, if you do not put things in place, if you do not adopt the mantra, relaxation is my responsibility, then burnout will force you to take a break, and not at a time that is convenient for you. And the thing with burnout is typically by the time we realize we're burned out, it's too late. Research actually suggests that it becomes harder and harder to think clearly. Sounds obvious, right? When you're in a state of burnout. So it becomes harder and harder to even identify that that's what's happening. You just sort of start snapping at everything. Your patience becomes extremely thin. You start snapping at your loved ones. You start getting angry at things, in disproportion to whatever that thing was. So making sure that you create space for relaxation and understanding that that's essential not only prevents the burnout, but it prevents the collateral damage that comes along with burnout. Okay. And look, once you do realize that you're in a state of burnout, it is going to require some self-compassion. I remember feeling a lot of shame because I took on some things that I shouldn't have taken on. And then I took out my stress on people that cared for me. And I know that, I hurt people that cared for me. And I felt so much shame around that. So you've got to forgive yourself and have compassion in order to move on and grow from the experience, but also acknowledge that, continuing down that path can't be an option, because nobody's going to get to their grave and be okay with the fact that they treated people they love poorly. So love yourself, forgive yourself, also apologize and acknowledge that you realize that you've ended up in this place, and then explain what you're doing to get out of it. So usually burnout happens when we're working on a lot of the wrong things. Okay. We're going through the motions in life and we're failing to identify what actually matters to us. And so rather than handle or tend to the things that actually matters, we're tending to a lot of stuff, a lot of shit that doesn't matter at the expense of the stuff that does. So I recommend pulling out a notepad. Here's my notepad. And I want you to break it up into a top section that says 90% or above, and below that. And I want you to put I want you to categorize out of all the things you're doing right now, okay, work-related, things you're doing with friends, family, extracurricular, exercise, anything, whatever you're doing throughout your days. I want you to lay it out on this page, and I wanna know what makes it into your top 90%. It absolutely matters, and what makes it into the below 90% category. And if you are in a state of burnout, you have to begin really looking at, once you do this exploration, what can we eliminate? What are the things that are hijacking us from doing what actually matters, that actually gives us fulfillment, that actually fills us with energy rather than depletes us of our energy? And then you have to double down on that. And you have to remember that every time you choose to say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. And again, the end result is not good. It sucks. It sucks for you and it sucks for all those involved. So I want you to go figure out, what are the essentials in your life? There's a great book called Essentialism if you need some help identifying what those things are. But remember, folks, time is a non-renewable resource, okay? We have a limited amount of it. It's okay that you tripped. It's okay that you fell. But let's get back up. Let's learn from it. And let's live a more enjoyable, mostly effortless life, because we can, but we have to do it with intention. That is all I have. Let me know how you do with the exercise, and I will be back next week. Thank you.